Hello, everyone. It's weekly manga recap time because it's February the 20th of 2026. I am Nick, joined by Quinn, and here we are on this Friday Eve. Howdy,
Yes. Doing great. We're in the middle of the Olympics. Very important time for anyone who cares about sports, except for me. I don't care about the Winter Olympics. It's all nonsense, basically. It's hockey and nonsense is what I call the Winter Olympics. But my sister posed an amusing question to me the other day because she apparently was having a conversation with her husband about Olympic sports. And the question was, what do you think is a more challenging Olympic sport to participate in? Curling or the luge?
I mean, personally, I would rather curl than luge. I don't know about level of challenge, but I would 100% curl.
I'll say one of those, if I do poorly, I brushed bad and people laugh at me. The other one, if I do poorly, I die. So one does feel significantly more challenging than the other. But my husband, or brother-in-law, rather, was adamant that curling was the more difficult sport. His thought was the luge, all you have to do is lay there.
That's not how it works.
Trust me, that's the thought I had as well. But still, I was just like, I don't.
You have to use your body to manipulate it, and the way you go faster is by having your head back. So you can't be looking down at what you're doing the whole time.
Yeah, you have to kind of intuit a lot with luging, it seems. And this is the same person who, at a game night, we started an actual argument, like a full-on, like, I think we need to put this game away and play something else because everyone's getting too angry. Because the conversation came up about which is a more athletically demanding sport, gymnastics or golf.
Oh, no.
And he was like, golf. Golf takes so much precision. It takes so much skill. And I'm like, look.
That's not athleticism.
I'm not trying to take away from any golfers. I'm sure they work very, very hard at their craft. I have seen fat golfers, all right? Not for nothing, but, like, you don't have to be in amazing shape to, like, amateur golf or something like that. But amateur, like, I can't even do a cartwheel without hurting myself at this point.
There's a reason why the prime of gymnasts is so small, basically.
And I'm starting to...
Because, like, your body is doing things that, like, once you hit 30, your body is just like, no, I'm not doing that, no.
We don't tumble anymore, champ. This is just called falling now. Like, oh, I don't like this now.
I'm not going to say that golf is easy by any means.
Yeah, to stress, I have a lot of respect for curling and for golf. I'm not here to dismiss them as, like, not sports or whatever. But it's the confidence to be like, oh, well, it's not like gymnastics. Like, I'm like, have you watched it? They're doing a lot of, like, cartwheels and flips off of, like, springs, like a Sonic the Hedgehog character. Like, what are you talking about?
There are so many things. There are so many events in gymnastics that are just astonishing. Like, you ever see someone who's, like, really good at the pommel horse? It's like, he's basically, like, breakdancing, but with just his arms.
Yeah, I was like that. The amount of strain that would put on your arm muscles alone is insane. But you know, that's his thing. But I just wanted to
People
double
will die
check
on weird hills.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up. I have yet to see somebody say that they believe curling is the more difficult sport. And again, not dismissing curling, but again, I do believe that if I make a mistake in curling, I'll be like embarrassed. If I make a mistake in luge, I just die. I'm just goo on the side of a track at some point.
When you said gymnastics, my immediate reaction was like, well, it's gymnastics. It doesn't matter what the other thing is that she says. It's going to be gymnastics. Oh, my God. All right. We do have quite a bit of manga to talk about today because It's Boruto week. So I suppose we will do that. Um, it's a little bit longer since I've read this than we do most weeks, so I apologize if I'm a little bit reaching for things to say sometimes. But we're gonna start with Ichi the Witch 70th Hunt, One Last Dream. Last time
Can
Ichi
I
woke up,
can I
it
throw
looks like it might.
can I throw
Go
my
ahead.
boyfriend on blast real quick?
Oh no, what?
He had a moment and he was over staying with me for the holiday weekend, where he was like, you know, I just got it. Ichi's the witch. He's called Ichi because he's the first witch.
Yeah.
And I was like, you've been studying Japanese though.
I mean, there are, admittedly, there are English puns that it took
Sure.
me so long to get.
I'm like, oh, Popeye. I get it.
I think I got that one. But anyway. Yeah, Ichi woke up last time. It looked for a second like Aurora had taken over his body, but Ichi took it back, and then he started fighting with Pooh, the scary giant octopus spider thingy. And yeah, he's fighting it now. Pooh gets angry at being attacked and starts to attack Ichi back, and he blocks it with his knife. And he is parrying and parrying and parrying and all that stuff. And apparently he picked this up because of when Aurora was fighting before and reacting really, really quickly. And so Ichi's just like, my body basically like remembers how to move, and I just like remember this kind of instinct, which allows him to tap into something we don't really see very much of, but Inara, the fox lightning thing that he uses. Oh, it's got utility beyond just like being his Thunderbolt attack now. He's kind of, because of Aurora is tapping more into his spirits, and the fox is going like, I've got 9 limbs, so yeah, I can handle an 8-limbed thing, no problem. Which is like, okay, that's interesting.
Fair
considering
enough,
that
yeah.
Ichi's still got the 4 limbs, but okay.
Magic, Nick. It's all about magic.
But Ichi realizes that this feeling that he is experiencing is what it's like to have tamed a magic. Which, if there is one magic that's going to be the first that he has like fully tamed and mastered, it is absolutely going to be this one. Like
Butterfree Caterpie was the first one to evolve, you know.
I get your point. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to contradict you. It's like she's got a point. Yeah.
Rock solid. Can't argue that.
But he's still not able to land a decisive blow on Pooh, because he's just focused on reacting. And he realized, like, I am going to like run out of stamina from just using my knife and my 2 arms to block all these blows if I keep this up. So I've got to do something else to change up the fight in my favor. At that moment, Shirabadono shouts out to him to use that one, the one you want to use the least. So Ichi keeps on blocking stuff. Gokuraku recovers in order to grab all the girls, basically, and starts to take them off to safety. And Ichi, as they're heading out, apologizes to Gokuraku because he knows what he's going to do. And so the one magic, of course, he wants to use the least is the Joyous Sorrow magic, which we get the implication is very clear, and then of course you turn the page and Pooh has turned into not his default form, but like an adult version of his default form.
Like a cute version of his almost current form. Like he is full size. He is like a big octopus thing.
I really like this design for whatever reason. I just like the tiny face on the giant head, I think.
Is that a nose or a mouth, do you think? Or like a beak?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. I don't think any of the others have noses, so I guess it's his mouth.
All
I
right.
guess.
Interesting.
And so, yeah, Pooh finds himself in this pleasant space, and it's peaceful and cozy, and all its brothers are there, and everyone's there being best friends. Ah, what joy. And there is a massive thing that Ichi has conjured, which is this huge glowing sphere of sorrow over top of it. And we get a further explanation of like when a magic is tamed, the witch can pull the full potential out of it. And so Ichi, in his magic circle, just kind of went to the Joyous Sorrow magic and was like, "Hey, how do I tame you?" just,
And I like that the Joyous Sorrow magic has to be like chained to a pillar, even though like it's not like he can go anywhere. Like it's not like he could like if he wasn't, he could just like leave. But I just like the idea that like to symbolize how much he doesn't want to be here, even in the dream world, he's like tethered to a post like a bike lock.
Yeah, and if you come by it and you ground pound it 3 times, you get a star.
Oh gosh, you got to remember those. Those, you know, they didn't have strategy guides back in the day. I mean, they did, but I didn't have that kind of money. So
I like the parallel here because of the symbolism from his story arc, where the post, the pillar in the ground, was the thing that was keeping Goguraku from going crazy and losing hope. So it's the inverse here. So the Joyous Sorrow magic is like, you're such a jerk. How dare you do this to my fellow magics? You can't go around just like saying you want to subjugate me and stuff. That's no, you're such a jerk. And Ichi's like, jerk. Please don't get mad at me. And so loses that fight pretty quickly. And then he brings up like, look, I don't even really want to use you, but if I tame you and get control over any threat you might pose, then it's my duty to do that. I should do that. So there should be a way that I can make use of you, Bakjam, which is the actual name of the magic. We've learned it after like 40 chapters or something like that. It's been a while since he was introduced. So we get a brief explanation that like while being used, this power can be used both offensively and defensively. So Ichi gets kind of an explanation of that. And it's like, I'm going to return to you the pain of watching your brothers die, saying this to Pooh. And says, this will be your death all the same, but given the choice, I'm not going to make you suffer. So he just kind of like has him just like pass in peace by slamming the magic down onto him. And that's it. Poof. Poof's gone. Hey, there goes another life. Hooray. But Minnie realizes that something is wrong. And of course, as we look off into the distance, Chrono was doing a lot of stuff in the background to help out, using a lot of abilities that strained his power, and he is not doing so well. He looks very faded now.
Yeah, there are chunks of him that are missing. His arms are gone at this point. He is slowly becoming the end of the Ghost of Christmas Present for the Muppet Christmas Carol. And I presume other versions of the Christmas Carol, I don't know. But
yeah,
there's only one in my mind. Nick, I want to hear your opinion on this, because the way I read this is I was like, oh, I guess we're not dealing with Kizashi this arc, because Ichi seems exhausted. Like, he seems kind of tapped at this point. Like, he only had enough time to really use one magic here. He seems drained and everything like that. And at this point, the sort of ace in the hole of Chrono seems like it is no longer a factor. This seems to be quick language of that. Now, Descaros is still out there, but we don't really know how that thing's going to resolve. And we did also establish that the World Hater Magic has like his legion of lieutenants or whatever. I forget what they were called, like the 8 stars or something like that. And that was
correct, which Kizashi was being invited into, essentially.
Yeah, so I wonder if this is supposed to be a situation where like Kizashi will like not win because Chrono will have died. I think that's where this is kind of headed. But do you think there is still going to be like an Ichi versus Kizashi fight to like take care of him fully, or how are you reading this?
I kind of don't feel as though Kizashi lives past this because he's lost a lot of lives, basically. And so, of course, it could be the case that he does live through here, but I mean, it seems like he's kind of spent a lot of abilities, and he started off like with 1,000 in all of eternity, and now he's down to like 100 or something like that. So it sort of feels like if we go back to like, oh yeah, now he's part of the villain group, it seems like a lot of the threat is diminished because of how much he's already lost. But in terms of like kind of like accounting for who is up, I do see your point. The only way it kind of seems like we're going to get through that is if somehow Descaris gets out of her current zombie situation, and we get a team up for that. I guess it's also possible that I sort of get the feeling that I have had the feeling for a while that Chrono is going to be acquired by someone. And if that happens, that could be the way that Kizashi is dealt with as well, is that
That's
somebody
true.
who acquires Chrono taps into his power to do it.
That's very true. There's something maybe along those lines, but I definitely got the vibe from this. I was like, I don't think Ichi is going toe to toe with Kizashi at this point when he barely kind of did it before. Now he's stronger because of the, Oro taking over his body for a little bit, and he's mastered magic. So like he would be stronger, but it still would seem a little bit wild if he was able to, I guess, handle it from here. But I guess we'll see. I am very intrigued to see what happens, and yeah, I think it was a good chapter, nice moment, and I love the way magic is sort of evolving and becoming more interested at this point.
Also, I don't think that if Chrono gets acquired, I've got to think that it's going to actually be Minnie who acquires him, because that would be how they would stay together. Jiki Shirane, that whole situation.
Plus, it'd be kind of a little broken to have a main character who could just rewind.
It's okay, guys. We've got time manipulation magic in our main party. It's all cool.
We could just do whatever we want, really. We'll just reverse everything we don't like. Yeah, good stuff. Liked it a lot. Blue Box!
Yes. We've got a chapter 230 here when continuing the amusement park date. Chapter 230, In Sickness and in Health. And so yeah, Ayame and Kyo have gone off to do their own thing, while Chinatsu and Taiki are going around riding rides and stuff, having a good time, and putting their not Mickey and Minnie Mouse dog caps on whenever they're just, like off the rides, and Chinatsu is just having a good old time. And Taiki is just kind of realizing, like, man, Shinatsu's got a lot of stamina. She's just going to keep on going, doing all this stuff. And she's like, oh, yeah, she's the ace of the basketball team. She is an athlete like him. So they're just going to keep on running around doing stuff. Also, he's still being weird about the uniform. He says, her uniform looks so cute. It's not going to wear off for him. But you know what? That's pretty good.
Yeah. Give him a couple years. He'll get used to it.
They are going to go on the Ferris wheel at some point. It seems like while they're waiting in line for one of the rides, they hear somebody say that if you kiss at the top of the Ferris wheel, they say you'll break up. There's all sorts of jinxes, so don't kiss up there. Oh, look, crepes. It's good priorities to have. They get into one of the go-kart rides, and Chinatsu wants to drive. She's like, yeah, and I got my driving license for college and stuff. And she looks at Taiki, he's like, you want to take a ride with me sometime? And he has that face that you make when you're like,
What? Why doesn't he trust her as a driver? I was like,
women drivers, Quinn. That's all I can think. That's all I can think he's thinking. He's got no reason to believe she wouldn't be good at driving.
I was like, she is extremely dedicated and studious. I would understand if it was Hina, who's like kind of airheaded and spotty. I would be like, that makes sense. I was like, Chinatsu is maybe the most reliable human being I've seen on this planet. Like, why would you be concerned?
Yeah. So apparently Taiki is so like unsure about this that Chinatsu even comments like, I got complimented by my driving instructor. She gets defensive about it. They drive for a bit, and Taiki thinks to himself, however, she'll feel so grown up again if I do that. Stop being weird about this, man. Come on. The car automatically slows down because she drives like speedily enough that like it has to slow her down so that the next car, they don't get close to it, which it never occurred to me, but like, yeah, those kind of rides where you have quote unquote control over the thing, they still have to maintain a certain distance between them. Yes. So that there's no danger and stuff. They get some crepes and ice cream and stuff afterwards. Some of it gets on Chinatsu's hair, and Taiki's like, you kind of like been letting your hair grow out a little bit, huh? And Chinatsu's like, yeah, I don't keep it short because I'm not like playing for a team anymore. And so she asks Taiki like, oh, which do you prefer? You know, what kind of length of hair? And Taiki has a really hard time with this because he's like, oh man, long hair Chinatsu senpai would be so elegant and cool, but the one that I fell in love with had short hair. Man, what an awful choice you have to make.
This is the hardest decision this young boy has had to make in his life as well.
The hardship he's got to encounter to decide which of the looks for his beautiful, intelligent, emotionally mature college girlfriend wear. So, but Chinatsu says like, hey, you know, I was thinking of cutting it for summer, so how about if you win in your qualifier, I'll cut off my hair. And then Taiki's left with the thought of, what if I want her to have long hair?
Oh, Taiki.
Don't you know how playoff beards work, man? Come on. They get up on the Ferris wheel, looking down at all the people and stuff. They do briefly wonder what Taiki and Kyo are up to, but Taiki just says, I'm sure they're doing fine. I don't know a better guy than Kyo. Aw. And then Chinatsu's like, well, how about me? It's a silly little thing.
Yeah.
I do like Taiki's response, though, because he's like, you're tied for first among all humanity. It's like, I'm not going to choose. No. They talk about Taiki's previous badminton match, and Chinatsu says that she was kind of inspired by it because, like, hey, I'm not, like, you know, playing sports competitively anymore, so watching you play made me realize, like, I don't want to forget that feeling. That's why I love sports so much, is that feeling that I get from it. The Ferris wheel stalls out for a second because they're like, oh, we got to inspect the ride and stuff. And while they're paused, Taiki says that he is thinking of continuing to play badminton when he gets to college. And he's like, you know, if I do that, I'll be like starting over from scratch. And hey, you know, I want to like do well in that. I want to like maybe play for Team Japan one day. I want to get stronger. And he thinks to himself, like, every single time that I've heard people talking about their futures, I just think about how I want to play badminton. And he says, I know that I lack some things, but that's why I think that I could still improve. I'm not pushing myself to my limit yet, and I want to keep on challenging myself. Chinatsu gets this very nice smile on her face. She's kind of blushing a bit, and she says, do you remember after I moved in with your family, how I said you shouldn't be afraid of having lofty goals? You may not think that what you just said is all that lofty, but no matter what you have in mind, if you're aiming for something, I'll always be rooting for you. And I'll keep on saying, knowing Taiki, he'll be fine. And she basically is just like, even if you like stumble sometimes, I want to keep on being there by your side. And then she says, and that's true in sickness and in health. And Taiki starts to get embarrassed, and she's like, okay, I'm just joking with you, you know, because like it definitely seems like one of those things where she realized like, oh, this is becoming like a really big sappy love speech, so I'm going to kind of like act like it's a marriage proposal thing to kind of like turn it back down. Taiki goes in for a kiss, but by this point the Ferris wheel has restarted, and Chinatsu's like, what about the jinx, though? You're not supposed to kiss at the top of the stop of the steering Ferris wheel. And Taiki says, well, yeah, but you just like practically proposed to me, so it doesn't matter. And we're not at the top. And Chinatsu's like, oh, we're not at the top yet? No, it's because I'm fucking in love with you. And they're just like making out. This is the hottest the series has been so far.
I don't want to say hottest, but I was like, this is definitely the most like intimate this series has gotten, of like 2 pages that are pretty much just exclusively close-ups on them kissing. And I was like, you know, good for them. This series has never really felt like one that you get to actually see much intimacy in. Like, it's always been like the joke of like, look at those harlots holding hands or whatever.
Look at them kissing all the way back there. Look, see in
Yeah.
the 2-page spread, they're taking up like 1/8 of it with their entire bodies, and like Chinatsu's hair is like hiding their mouths from the viewer.
Yeah, or like she'll do something like she'll put like her hand over her mouth or something like they always like try to like over
Kiss
like
over the sweater.
yeah, like really actually showing you actual intimacy of any kind. I was like, oh, it's kind of nice that their relationship has progressed to this point. I wonder if there is any like actual like anger or like are there readers who are like, oh, I didn't think they were gonna do this. Like I didn't think they were going to be this lewd. But
Yeah.
I thought this was like a genuinely very sweet moment that these two are sharing that, you know, they're gonna remember forever.
Yeah. And the whole thing ends with, you know, they get to the top of the Ferris wheel after they've been making out for a bit, and Taiki also says, you know, repeats what Chinatsu says, like, yeah, I'm going to be with you in sickness and in health, and she's really happy about it. And then she says, next time you're sick, I'll make you udon again. I was like, well, now I want to get cold. That's funny.
Yeah. Don't, though. The cold that's going around right now is really, really bad, actually. So try to avoid it the best you can.
Yeah. Well, isn't that nice, Quinn?
Yeah.
Nothing's going to ruin our mood now.
Look, I will appreciate this chapter if only because this is a chapter that has one of those frog summons be like, I think he should die. Boruto, like, we should let this dude die.
Chapter 31 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. Shut up! It's just called Shut Up.
Great name for a chapter of Boruto where everyone fucking talks for like 90% of the chapter.
Honestly, probably the best like color front page we've had in a while, because there's some sense of like, you know, style to the layout.
There's like an aesthetic, yeah. Like there was artistic intention.
Last time, for some fucking reason, Lord Koda got possessed by Inojin under Kashin Koji's orders and brought out to where a bunch of the Mamushi guys were. And was like, yeah, let's just get this Lord Kubu guy fucking killed. And Inojin's like, this guy's a civilian. I don't want to do this. And Kashin Koji is like, get out of Kobu's body and leave him here, because if you die in the body, you die for real. And yeah, the Mamushi start to go for him. And Kashin Koji's like, undo it, Inojin, come on! And Inojin's like trying to like run Kobu to safety while getting attacked. And he's like, this is just like a regular middle-aged man's body. He's so slow.
He's so old and flabby. He can't do any of my cool, like, 13-year-old somersault moves.
Inojin objects to Kashin Koji's instructions, saying, if I can't protect someone under such conditions, I don't deserve to call myself a shinobi. All right. Anyway, let's go over to Ada. She's hugging a pillow while what's his face is there. Her fucking brother, dude. I don't look. I feel like this is the one character my brain's trying to forget. Damon. That was it, right? Damon.
Yes.
So Damon's like, hey, why don't you use your Senrigan to find out what's going on out there? And Ada recalls when she last used her Senrigan to spy on the trees, the Otsutsuki trees, that Mamushi could see her through it. And so from this, somehow, she has fully understood Mamushi's abilities. I don't know how, but she has.
She's really good in intuiting things, Nick. She's just really good at that.
Now, it doesn't matter that she's totally right in this scene, but because like I feel like it's a totally reasonable for her to go, it's like, the last time I used my abilities, that guy could see me and see that I was watching him. So that seems like bad news to me. That is, I think, a totally fine thing to extrapolate from that, and a thing to feel weirded about in character. She's like, I suspect he can gather intel from looking into other people's eyes. How do you know that, though? How do you know that?
This is like this JoJo world where everyone has special powers, but they could just like kind of very quickly insight everything that a person could do. They just be like, yeah, obviously, if you look at his eyes, we'll read all your powers. Like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I guess that's another way to solve the concern of what this guy can do.
The very related superpower sets. multiplying, gathering information from looking in people's eyes. Those two, you pair them up so often. Like, obviously,
it's honestly a little tired. Like, we're constantly doing this.
So she says, like, if I use my Senrigan, he's going to know where I am. Which, again, feels like a thing that she could have surmised without the whole I know exactly how his ability works thing is. But whatever. Then we get some people witnessing the Mamushis. Remember, they were told, like, hey, if you multiply so much, then his brain power gets distributed among them, so they start to get stupid. And it gets to the point where they start fighting and killing each other because they're arguing over stuff. After one of them says, hey, if she uses her Senrigan, we'll know where she is. It's like, thanks for leaving that tension in there of maybe Hado was right for one page. Thank you for that. One of the Mamushis calls one of the ones that he kills you damn bug, which is funny because they come from Bug, the guy.
Yeah, that is clever. That is clever.
So they're killing each other and stuff. One of them uses fire and burns the other and stuff, and they're fighting. And so Sai talks to Shikamaru back in the interrogation center and stuff, and just says, "Hey, what's going on with Inojin? I know he possessed Lord Kobu. What's going on with him?" And so Shikamaru is like, "Well, we're fighting the divine tree guy Mamushi. So our target's, his target's not Konoha. However, it's Ada." And Sai's like, "How do you know this?" And Shikamaru says, "I don't have time to explain it all to you." And Sai says, "I'm in charge of running this interrogation, so answer me before it gets ugly. You understand, Sai. I understand your concern for Inojin, but we are shinobi first and foremost, before we are parents, and during an emergency, the safety of the village and all its citizens is our first priority." And so Sai's like, "All right, tell me what you need to do."
It's not bad. It's just nothing, though. Like, it's not like a great tense scene of them having to, like, two parents whose children are literally currently fighting in this war right now. There's not really much in terms of, like, suspense or tension or anything like that. Just Shikamaru comes in and is like, "Hey, did that Ninja Creed we swore? We gotta follow it." It's like, okay, but, like, you could have done a little bit more with this. There was more meat on this bone.
We've known each other for like 20 years, and one of your best friends is my wife, and our kids are in the same team together. We're gonna talk about any of that as we're shinobi. Do it. Oh man, that would require like the adult characters to have like traits though. So anyway. Outside, Sarada starts using her new Mangekyo Sharingan ability. It's called Okirume, the black hole thing. She starts sucking a whole bunch of them up into the skies, sending them into black holes and stuff. Delta observes that she's like got some limits with it though, and Sarada's like, "It only works on objects I can see with my own eyes." Okay, sure. So Delta's like, "I'll just cover the ones that you miss," and so she starts flying around and she's using eye beams and shit and slamming her claw feet into heads and stuff, and yeah, they beat up a whole bunch of them. Sarada's eyes get tired afterwards, and then yeah, that makes sense. So her Sharingan abilities have a limit to make her vision blurry. Whoever heard of that? Kobu's still not dead. The Mamushis are attacking him very slowly. He's just like, I know that Iojin's got like ninja stuff, but like again, he's like piloting like a 55-year-old regular dude's body around. Like,
yeah, I was like, I don't think any ninja is necessarily going to take over my body and start dodging like super ninja strikes. It just probably isn't going to happen.
So Kashikoji's eventually like, "Well, I can't let you die. We need you." So he snaps Inojin out of using his trance because he's there with Inojin's physical body and just goes, "Oh, he broke the trance and broke the jutsu. That's how easy it is." Kobu wakes up. He's surrounded by Mamushi who are just looking at him now.
Yeah.
They're just like, "Hey, how you doing?" Inojin's like, "How could you do that?" And Kashikoji says, "You need to restore the mind transmission jutsu because I'm worried about our..." So he reconnects everybody. Inojin warns Shikamaru and Sai immediately that Mamushi are going to attack Lord Kobu. The Mamushi very slowly grab Lord Kobu like they're gonna beat him up like high school
Yeah, they've
bullies.
all decided to suddenly just become like Yankee punks where they're just like, hey, we're gonna beat you up, but we're gonna really take our time with it. I'm like, what is this?
There is a very weird attempt at an explanation for why they don't just kill him immediately, which is, I can't have you die too quickly because I need to get my anger out. Bro, the other you was letting his anger out by punching you in the head hard enough to kill you. Shikamaru and Sai come out to save Lord Kobu, who has his cloak set on fire by one of the Mamushi, who goes cackle cackle. So they go in to help, but Boruto is there, and he immediately cuts all the heads off.
Because it would be impossible. It would be unthinkable to have Shikamaru do something cool in this moment. Like, I was like, okay, big rush. We gotta save this guy. Shikamaru does some cool shadow jutsu. No, Boruto just swoops in, slashes everybody. Conflict over.
Just stands there, and then Kobu's cloak is still on fire, so Boruto uses his Kara thing and dissipates the jutsu. He's fine. And Sai is given the important task of taking Kobu to the hospital, because that's all Sai's good for.
Mm-hmm.
He helps Kobu up. Kobu's like, who are they? And Shikamaru is like, they were divine trees. Do you understand why we've got to deal with them? Let me do my job. And Kobu's like, fine, but I'm still investigating you, so don't think you're going to get away with all this. And after it all comes to light, we will take whatever action is necessary. So you better remember that. He doesn't say anything about Boruto being there and helping out. He just leaves. Boruto, the criminal that they've been after this whole time. He doesn't even comment on Boruto being there at all. The toad jumps off of Kobu, lands in front of Boruto, and Boruto says, hey, was it pure coincidence? Or did you know that I'd save Kobu? And Quinn, Kashikoji, could just lie. He could just say, yes, all according to Keikaku. This way, Kobu will start to believe that you are an ally. Or, yes, this way, Kobu cooperated with us, rather than getting in our way on stuff. I have removed an obstacle without anyone getting hurt. Instead, he says, that dude needs to die.
This panel is one of my favorites in Naruto history. It's up there with whatever panel explains that Kurama knows how to do nuclear fission. I think it is such a funny panel of like the frog being like, I know you may not like this answer, but that man needed to die.
And Boruto, the hero of the story, responds to this by going,
What is...
Anyway.
Oh, Lord.
Fucking hate this goddamn fucking stupid series, man. Oh, God. All right. Hey, all the people are in contact now. They're fighting Mamushis and stuff like that, but there's still Mamushis left, and Shikadai is like, our chakra's draining quick. Sure, okay. So Shikamaru is like, we've got to go with our last resort. Seems like you guys have been having an easy time so far.
I was going to say, like, things don't look that hard. Every single person we've seen go up against these bug clones, Musashis or whatever, just, like, instantly clowns on them. It's not even a challenge.
Like, I understand that there is a matter of, like, okay, there's only, like, 8 of them that are working on this. But it's like, what could be possible, though? Shikamaru, you're being allowed to, like, do your job. You've been given the okay by Kobu, and I don't know if you know this. You're the Hokage. You've got other ninja that you could coordinate with.
Also, his plan is like, he's like, this is our last resort. I'm like, I think this maybe should have been one of your first plans, actually. Like, you're ninja. There are ways that you could, like, create a funnel point to their target without actually putting Ada in any necessary danger or whatever. Like, I don't know. It just seems like a good way to minimize damage inside your hometown, but...
Yeah. I'm not going to say, like, oh, why didn't you think of this before? Because I know that, technically speaking, he did not actually have much time to put together a plan, because he was getting information while the Mamushis were showing up. But yeah, that's what they're gonna do. Is like, hey, Ada, use your ability and do the thing that we set up at the beginning of the chapter, so the Mamushis will know where you are and will go after you. And Damon's like, yeah, it's a great idea, which immediately makes me think this is not a good idea because that little freak thinks it's a good idea.
He never has a good idea.
Honestly, it's stupid. It's probably the least bad chapter of Boruto we've had in a little while because this.
We say that so frequently, though, where it's like, this is the least bad one, so maybe it's not that bad.
There will be a bad one soon, though. I feel it. I feel it in my bones. It's gonna be bad soon.
Yeah, but this still isn't particularly good. It's just kind of funny in how goofy it is at some point, but it's, yeah, I don't know. I'd hesitate to be like, well, this was readable, so I guess it's not the worst chapter we've read in recent memory or anything like that, but at the same time, the most memorable thing about it is a frog telling Boruto he should have just let that man die.
All right, Chainsaw Man.
Thankfully, Chainsaw Man will get us with its gripping forward momentum of a series. So,
Chapter 229, Nightjar and Asa. Yeah, Yoru's not doing so hot. She's watching birds fly by overhead, and she's laughing because she remembers that birds getting disemboweled and stuff makes Asa sad. And Asa's like, so you avoided that bird before because you didn't want to, because I would hate it? You don't even care about my feelings. And she also is like, why are you leaving me alive? You could have erased me, and then you could have just made my body and mind all yours. And Yoru doesn't answer, as Denji starts to crawl towards her. He's been very beaten up still, and he has not gotten his arm or legs back, so he's not doing so great. He crawls over towards her, and as he's making his way there, Yoru says to Asa, that bird whose body I stole at the outset, even though it was a bird, it felt guilty for catching and eating worms, for an act necessary for survival. What a stupid, arrogant, and foolish bird. If I empathize, if I'm able to bear that guilt too, then I can create stronger weapons. I tried to understand your guilt, Asa, but in the end, I couldn't comprehend it. I could imagine your power, but I couldn't imagine a vessel strong enough to contain it, Quinn. But after pausing, Yoru says to Asa, what you think of as sins are nothing in a devil's eyes. If that bird, too, had been able to fly, thinking only happy thoughts. She trails off as Denji reaches her, and he opens his mouth. And then he decides, you know what? I'm gonna go back to this well, baby.
you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So,
hey, so this is crazy. But you know what I was thinking of? Just
wild idea. What if? Because I don't know if you remember this. I do. Maybe it wasn't important to you, but
yeah, and he cuts his chainsaw into his arm and sprays Yoru in the face and gives her some blood to drink. And he kind of falls over next to her. Yoru recovers and, you know, is healthy again and has him at gunpoint and it just says, are you stupid? What the hell? Why did you feed me blood? And she's like, are you saying you want to be turned into a weapon? Do you want to, like, just screw up the world together with me? And Denji says, I just suddenly remembered that you said you'd have sex with me. If I ate some dangerous devil, and I'm pretty sure I ate that dangerous devil, didn't I? And Yoru bows her head, and she just lies down on top of Denji and starts laughing while, like, buildings collapse around them. Honestly, though, these two are meant for each other. They're fucking stupid and crazy.
So. Yeah, and now the last panel also has debris falling. I don't know if the implication is supposed to be that they're both about to be crushed by this debris or not, or if that's happening in the background. I'll just wait to see. Like, for all I know, the next chapter, Chainsaw Man could open them with them like mid coitus. Like, I honestly, I have zero idea what this series at this point. So I guess I'll just wait and see. But I mean, look, we always like series have challenges of being like, oh well, don't just make your main character Goku or whatever. That was already like a famously annoying thing about Goku was like he kept letting his antagonist get stronger and like recover and stuff like that. Denji's doing it, but for a very different reason. And
It's true, yeah.
yeah, I guess I have to admire that, if nothing else. Denji doesn't care about the strongest. He doesn't care about winning a fair fight. He does care about, he's like, hey, that offer from before.
I do think that the implication here is supposed to be that Denji is looking for an excuse still. Like he really just does not want to have to settle this thing by just eating Yoru
Yeah.
because he likes her or he likes Asa, some combination of the two of them or something. And so he's just like, yes, eating her would absolutely solve all the problems that are going on and would prevent me from having to like force her into a catch-22 or whatever. So he's just trying to find some way to get through in this regard. But it is also still a little bit annoying to see him constantly frame things in terms of like sex and stuff. And it's like, I understand that it's like supposed to be like a substitute for a sense of love and intimacy and everything, to just channel everything through sex. But it's like, yeah, but you need to you need to get over that too, buddy. You need to mature past that point, please.
Denji, please. A lesson. If you could learn just one, please. Yeah, don't dislike it, but I don't think it's necessarily striking me in a particularly memorable way right now, which, considering, again, we feel like we're pretty close to the end of Chainsaw Man, I feel like it's going to kind of end with like a shrug than anything else.
We'll see. Speaking of being struck in an interesting way, Quinn, Alien Headbutt! Chapter 2, The Boy and the Wrestler. Yes, that's right. Our protag man has headbutted. Well, no, he hasn't headbutted anything yet. What the fuck? This is not as advertised. He only forearmed that and German suplexed that alien before. There's been no headbutts at all yet. But what is his freaking name? Shirokiba, Olga Shirokiba. So Shirokiba, he wakes up in a general store after he had his chapter 1 fight. He realizes like there is some sort of like weird cable parasite thing inside of me because I've read Kaiju number 8. He looks around, turns out there is a kid who saved him. And he recognizes Shirokiba because he's a wrestling fan and stuff. He's like, I watch you all the time. You're the star of Mikurojima. So I do appreciate it. It's like, hey, this is a guy from Shirokiba's hometown that's a fan of his. So that's nice. Local heroes are kind of much more of a big thing in like Japanese wrestling since like, you know, pro wrestling in the US is constantly like, let's make that guy lose in his hometowns. Shirokiba asks the kid for information about what's going on the island, and we get a little bit more of a picture of things, which is that about 3 months ago, these weird giant egg things just fell from the sky, containing the aliens that invaded the entire island, and they've used these big, huge things that block out all the communication towers and stuff, so nobody's able to communicate with anyone off the island. And when the kid tried to go to the port to go and get help, there was only one boat there, and the captain had been turned into this like robot thing. So that was why the captain of the vessel that let Shirokiba and the other guy back onto the island, why he was acting so strange. He's like possessed by some sort of brain parasite or something like that. So, yep, that's all happened. Everyone's gone. Some of them were killed, but most of them have been taken away. And so Shirokiba, thinking that, of course, like, you know, his family might be among them, asks the kid for information. And he's like, I don't really know. Because, you know, he's been focused on, like, surviving for the last few months and hiding. So Shirokiba goes out to try and do something. The kid warns him, and Shirokiba's like, I can beat him. I don't care how many there are. And the kid's like, they killed the police officers. And Shirokiba's like, all right, well, good.
Sounds great.
And the kid warns him, like, I know how strong you are, Mr. Shirakiba, but even you. And oh no, 3 more aliens show up. And the kid realizes that although he managed to get Shirakiba to safety, he was bleeding along the way. And so they followed the trail there. But Shirakiba tells the kid, whose name is Haruya, hey, don't worry, the Hellhound is here now. So he's going to fight them. Haruya warns him, like, look, you can't fight them 3-on-1. And Shirakiba says, I'm not going to do that. Leave a treasured fan to suffer in despair. I'm supposed to get my fans hyped. That's a pro wrestler's job. And so he goes up to the top of the ramp and he starts playing his entrance music. He comes down to the ring and then he's really gassed. So then he just asks everyone to replay the entrance music. And then... Sorry, I'm just talking about my least favorite pro wrestler right now. That's all. I don't even watch wrestling right now. So.
I was going to say, where is your finger on the pulse of professional wrestling at the moment?
I know what's going on, but that's about it. So.
I had a moment with my boyfriend on Valentine's Day in the evening where we had finished watching something together, and I was like, all right, I'm going to give you a choice. We can either watch a romantic movie this evening, or we can watch AEW, because they were doing the Grand Slam pay-per-view. Or not pay-per-view, but it was like a special show. And to my surprise, my boyfriend was like, let's do wrestling. And we watched it. He hates all the faces. He hated all of them. So he's really, I think he's channeling the right wrestling energy right off the bat.
Does he like any of the heels?
He likes some of them. His big thing was he doesn't like Orange Cassidy and Tony Storm because they had a hair versus hair match, and they kind of cheated at the start. Like they attacked their opponents before they got to the ring, and that was enough for him to be like,
he was like, they're not good guys.
Forever. No matter what other tactics happened during the match, he was exclusively like, these guys suck. They're the bad guys. I hope they all get their heads shaved.
Tony Storm, I think, was, if I remember the storyline, was very upset about one of her lovers. I can't remember how many she's got. So.
It's not her lover, it's her friend, but...
Yeah.
Her friend.
Yes. Anyway, back in the manga world, one of the aliens goes to attack, and so Shirakiba is like, I know that front kick because he saw the guy get killed, even though it happened behind him before. So he's got this move scouted, Quinn, and so he grabs onto the leg, and I was like, oh my god, is he going to do a dragon screw leg whip? And he does a dragon screw leg whip, and I was like, all right!
Heck yeah!
A wrestling move, hooray! So, he fucking destroys this thing, too. Like, he does a 180 rotation on the leg. Like, you're supposed to, like, let go when you do this.
Nah, my man treated this like this was like a fully posable action figure, and he's just testing out all the joints.
So he messes up one of their legs. The other two go into attack, and he just does it to them, too. Boom! Chaining leg whips together. And the Haruya, who is a pro wrestling mark and watches all the matches, he understands the strategy and the choreography going on. So it's nice to have him on board so that he can explain things. Maybe he'll get really good at this, and he can just be the color commentator that's going to follow Shirakiba around during all of this. They keep on fighting. They start launching punches and punches and punches. But Haruya realizes, like, oh, he attacked their legs because you need your leg to pivot in order to generate power with it. And Shirakiba is just fully no-selling the punches. They are going into his face and everything, and he's just like, yeah, this all sucks. Grabs one of them, and without paying attention to the other two, he puts him in the camel clutch.
He makes him humble.
Break his back. I do appreciate that we do see later on, like, the other two are like, oh my god, and they are pummeling the hell out of him while trying to get him to stop.
Yeah, the shot of them both punching him while he's doing it is very amusing.
So, Shirakiba does realize, like, I feel a lot stronger than normal. It feels like my heart's beating out of control. I wonder if it's the parasite inside me. Whatever, I'm gonna kill these things faster. Very unconcerned by it. And yeah, he's getting set to just rip this thing in half by breaking its back. And so Haruya is finally like, kill him, Hellhound, yeah! And he kills them. I'm upset because we don't get to see the finish, which is, the mark of a great match where, they just cut away during the finish and then cut back. That's not good. You gotta give the people what they want.
Yeah.
Shirakiba, however, observes like, there's no more worms coming out of these things.
Interesting.
Haruya congratulates Shirakiba, but Shirakiba says, hey, the one who is really incredible here is you. You've been surrounded out here for this long. You must have been scared, had a lot of sleepless nights, but you managed to survive this whole time. You're a lot tougher than I was at your age. You're incredible. And Haruya starts to believe. He believes that Shirakiba can go to WrestleMania and free the island and stuff. And he says, the truth is, I do know one place where the islanders were taken and the people who were brought there are still alive. And we get a shot of basically the pods from the Matrix with, the semi-transparent globes that have all the tubes stuck into the people inside of them.
Yes. They are being harvested for their brain juices or whatever happens in the Matrix. I didn't follow the entire. Yeah, I didn't.
It's not a bad explanation of that.
Yeah, basically. I enjoy the wrestling parts of the series. I do need the series to find that extra element right now. Right now, it feels very simple. It is a boy. He is a wrestler. And he does wrestling moves on a bunch of aliens. And I need to see how the series lifts up from there. Because right now, I don't think it's going to be in the cast. I don't think this little boy is going to be like a major character throughout the series. Maybe he is. If so, I'd probably make him more of an interesting character. But I'm waiting for the series to hopefully get like an extra little wrinkle, something else that lifts this series up from where it is right now. Because as it is, I enjoy it. But this is kind of the same thing I kind of got out of the last chapter. And I want a little bit more, hopefully.
Yeah, need some more rocket fuel in some regard. Hima-Ten, or as it's also known, Hima-78, third school term. Kana has boobs, in case you forgot. And that's what we're using to sell volume. I mean, might as well.
Whatever.
Himari and Iamori went to do their fortune thing for the start of the year. Iamori's fortune is very bad when it comes to courtship, so that's a good sign for somebody who is planning on confessing to his crush in a month's time. They are riding the train back, and so that's all going on. Himari says, like, we went to the shrine with Kana and all that stuff, but back then it was doing it for work, so it was kind of different. And Iamori says, what do you mean by that? And Himari's like, anyway, it was a fun shrine date. Bye. Gets off the train. And Iamori just kind of thinks like, this is kind of weird. Like, this is kind of just weird. Like, being friends with her now. I'm going to have to, I guess, get used to this. But they took a picture together while they were at the shrine. Isn't that nice? It is actually, in spite of Iamori not reacting facially to someone being given the phone to take the photo, is actually pretty nice. But we are given ominous forewarning, which is neither of us knew that the shrine visit would completely change the course of the school term. Speaking of new school term, because they're back from winter break and all that stuff. And so Iamori is like, all right, this is going to be the first time that I'm going to like get to see Honoka since, Christmas and giving gifts and all that stuff. So, okay. However, before he gets to class, Kana is there. She looks really cute. I like that scarf on her. It's a nice look. And Iamori remembers, of course, their last interactions where Kana was like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to date you and stuff. And so he gets a little bit flustered by that, but they start, talking. Kana's getting a lot of attention because she's gotten a lot more work with her pinups and everything. So there is a buzz around them.
I thought it was so funny when Kana shows back up into the story and she's like kind of inserting herself back into this. And I'm like, girl, we had like an entire multiple chapter thing about how Iamori is like planning to tell Honoka about his feelings for her and the challenges that creates with his job, all this sort of stuff, everything's going on. Not fucking once did you in your confession come up. You are dead in the water. I don't know how to tell it to you, but you are done.
She is a non-factor. Don't think about Kana. She's a non-factor. It's upsetting because, like, I do remember it's like, oh, I like Kana from a certain point. And it's just like, but she's just not. They're just never gonna put her over, Quinn.
They're never gonna put that strap on her. The strap, of course, being Iamori's attention and love.
Oh man. So yeah, they're trying to like this is like all this like, oh yeah, some of the people at our school, like, they made a fan group for me. It's like, this doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything if you don't win. Yeah. Anyway, Iamori does make a good point, which, because Kana's like, hey, do you want to like join that group? And he's like, there's people got to be posting creepy stuff in there. I don't want any part of that. Incredible level of awareness. Good on him.
10 out of 10 answer. It's exactly my thought as well, which is like, I want, are you in that group? Because, like, I don't think I would enjoy hearing someone just say all those things about my body in that chat, but I don't know, good on you, I guess.
It is impossible to, like, even come across anything just on social media or, you know, like a video site or whatever that just has a woman in it without someone in the comments making a weird comment about said woman. And this is a group dedicated to a beautiful woman.
High school group. So much weird shit. High school group. Like, yeah, I cannot even begin to stress how deeply uncomfortable that private chat must be.
Oh, no. But Iamori, after they've talked for a bit, is just kind of left with that whole thing about, like, yeah, I mean, Kana's, like, you know, kind of gunning for me and stuff. But he also recalls a little conversation he had with his sister, which is just like, Kana's the only big sister I'd ever want. I do appreciate that she's just like, fucking date her. she's got her favorite and that's it. But shortly afterwards, he goes to class, runs into Mayu, and of course, Honoka. And they're happy to see each other. Ain't that nice? And then Mayu is like, we were waiting for you. Take a guess why. And Honoka's like, don't put him on the spot like that. I just wanted to say good morning to you. There's nothing going on. Iamori, he manages to hit that insight check, and he says, did you get your hair cut, Kanai? And oh my gosh, he noticed that the length of her hair is a bit different now, and her bangs are a little bit different. And he goes on about this, and he's like, oh, you look slightly different, and you look great. And the excuse is, I'm the son of a hairdresser. Hooray. And so they make a big deal about, like, oh wow, only he could possibly notice that about her. And then Himeno shows up and she's like, you got a haircut. Okay. All right. Himari shows up too. Hooray. And then it's like, Himari sits down and she thinks to herself, all right, well, here we go. Himori is no longer just my house cleaner. That means that Honoka and I are going to see him the same amount at this point. Mm-hmm. So if I don't act, then he is going to naturally start gravitating towards her because she's the one that he has a crush on. So yeah, she just kind of like gets herself like, I got to, get to work now, basically. Himeno is still their teacher and stuff, and there are printouts for things, and yeah, they're gonna get set for a school trip thing that they've got a plan for. This is a big thing in Japan, which is that usually the students actually decide where they're gonna go and stuff, and they have to agree on it and everything. So as the class representatives, Iamori and Honoka are talking about stuff. Iamori says as they're off together, like, hey, can you give me the referral to your cram school again? But she says, actually, winter session's already over. And also, like, I'm in, like, the accelerated class, so even if I got you in, we wouldn't be in the same class. So she says, I could tutor you myself. That's why I gave you the tutoring session coupon. So then they're just kind of thinking about that, and Honoka is thinking to herself, like, hey, Iamori gave me those, earrings and stuff. So can I, like, get my hopes up about this? Like, is this a thing that's going to happen? Yep. We go over to Himari later on. She is cleaning her own place because Iamori is no longer her house cleaner, and she doesn't have a new one. She is just kind of like, I don't like doing this, which is understandable. But she, just has a little talk with Maro, her cat, and just says, "I don't have a house cleaner anymore, so I'm going to look after this place on my own." Doorbell rings, and it's Tsubone, and so she comes on in. She's like, "I got bad news. Yeah, that boy who does your house cleaning, this is him, right? Yeah, someone stuck a picture of the two of you when you were on your date, and it's all over social media." Oh
no! Oh no! Yeah, I guess I will say this: I'm intrigued by this, if only because it forces this series to do something interesting drama-wise. Like, this series has been a little too safe, especially when you compare it to like the cozy kind of feeling that Blue Box often has. So I was like, you kind of hope this series would be a little bit more swingy, a little bit more dramatic, stuff like that. So the fact that we're finally kind of pushing things forward and like exciting, like, oh, what now? Now Iamori and his relationship with, Himari to some degree is known amongst all of his class, presumably. So something has to come from that.
Yeah. I think just be swept under the rug, it would seem.
Yes.
Kinato's magic. It's chapter 3, introducing the Iron Fangs. Well, now that Kinato is a registered adventurer, they have gone to the capital city in the area, Assam. And so, hey, it's an actual like big city and stuff with big ass buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And I do appreciate that. Hey, what we've seen so far is like, yes, this definitely seems like a scale up from like the rural towns and everything.
Yes.
And there's a whole lot of people casting magic because higher population, more people
people ride around on paper airplanes.
It's cute, yes. So Kinato says to Linne, it's like, isn't this place amazing? She has immediately gone to a lottery stand and gotten 10 tickets and does all the scratchers right there, loses all of them, and goes, "Ah!" and tears them all apart.
My boyfriend read the chapters this week before me, and while he was reading the chapters, there was a moment when he laughed out loud, and I was like, oh, what's that? He's like, Kinato's magic. And then when I read this chapter, I laughed out loud. He's like, what are you laughing at? And I was like, Kinato's magic. And were you laughing before at the lottery ticket thing? Because I think it was the exact same point. It is such a funny gag. It is so quick. I love her just be like, 10 tickets, please. Nowhere. Damn it. Like, furious ripping them apart. It's less than a page. And this entire gag is done in such a great way.
And immediately afterwards, she's all smiles and answers the question that Kinato asked her. Like, this never happens.
Oh my gosh, I love this girl so much.
Oh, she's fantastic. Anyway, they get to the guild. And so Linnea's like, oh wow, yeah, this place actually looks really legit. This is great. And then the facade in front of the building falls down and it's a cardboard stand for some reason.
What I love is it falls through and our heroes were of course stating an exact way to go through the windows, except for the guy who's actually a part of it. He just tanks it. He just goes straight through it.
So, yeah, Jian explains, like, yeah, I thought that I could use the pretty facade to trick clients into coming inside.
It's already a still pretty nice building.
It's not bad.
Like, it's not like the thing falls down, you're like, what a crap shack. You're like, oh, it's just a slightly nicer, like, less nice building. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, Linnea's just like, I guess that means I'll have to be the pretty facade. Love this girl's ego. But then she says, hey, come on, Kinato, hurry up. This is what you've been waiting for, right? And Kinato's like, she's right. Yeah, my life as an adventurer is going to start now. And then Jian gets brained over the head as soon as he comes through the door, as there is a mustached man named Olgin, the vice captain of the Iron Fangs. Yeah, he gives this big little spiel about like, oh, you need a monster slain? You come to the right place. I also work the front desk. However, Jian reveals they're not clients, and Olgin immediately is hostile towards them and calls them bastards. So things are going great. He introduces Linne and Kinato as the new recruits. And then he... Oh dear,
he's trying to
there
get
a professor?
I'm trying to get him to just subtly come up. He's in this point right now where he's just gonna stare at me and kind of meow every so often and like start jumping, and I'm like, just come up.
It's not ready. It's not ready yet.
Just come up, stupid.
No, I didn't want to be up here. Come on, didn't you understand that, Mom? Come on. So it turns out that Jien and Olgan are like best friends and they're the same age, to which Kinato says the thing that I was thinking, which is like, they're the same age, really? Because Olgan looks like, I don't know, he's in like his 40s or something, and Jien looks like he's in his 20s. So it's very confusing. So Olgan says that even though they've got talented members in the guild itself is small and elite. The big guilds get the market on almost everything. So Linne is like, actually, this is pretty scummy. If you don't have missions, we'll just have to create them. I don't know if we should let this girl in, guys. She's gonna set fires. But someone else comes in, Kaminagi, to which I immediately went, oh no. She is a girl with a sword who wears it's clothing. I mean, it is clothing.
She's wearing like a body stocking and then some stuff over top of it. You know, it's honestly, I think, a pretty decent design. I like her.
She, however, immediately recognizes that Kinato is the new recruit, has a colorless rank. And so she's like, hey, adventuring is a society of merit. I don't think that we should let this guy in. I'm not going to accept him. I'm going to knock some sense into him right now. And she goes to attack Kinato. But then I was not expecting it.
No, this was an amazing page turn as well. We were like, oh, wait, what?
Kaminagi comes dashing in. She's got her katana at her belt. She's going to do, the EI sword draw thing. And then as she's charging towards Kinato, she spots Linne and skids to her knees in front of Linne, takes her hand and says, beautiful lady, allow me to call you princess from this day forward, and I shall be your knight. All right, so this series officially has everything now.
Yeah, what else could you guys want? All right, you got your Yuri bait, you got your cool sword lady, you got a funny character. Like, come on, it's all here.
Yeah, so immediately Jien gives Kinato a quick lowdown, which is like, hey, you ever heard of A Knight's Chronicle? Yeah, so Kaminagi's this really big fan of this story of a knight and princess who travel the world to defeat the demon and everything. So whenever she sees a girl who's her type, she's immediately like, I'm the knight and this is the princess. And Linne reacts to this by saying, it's okay, you could just call me your highness, because of course, like she's gonna like someone who appeals to her ego. Of course she is.
Mm-hmm.
So Jien says that there is a standard procedure for new recruits, which is that he's going to assign a mentor to each of them. So since Olgan is the current secretary and Linne is going to be taking that position, he's going to work with her. And Kinato's mentor is going to be Kaminagi, the one who only likes Linne and is not going to have Linne around now to make her not want to beat up Kinato. But Jien says, hey, look, all you got to do is tell her those strong feelings of yours about wanting to be an adventurer. Our members have their quirks, but they've also got mental toughness. They can overcome any obstacle, and our guild never yields and is never broken. That's the way of the Iron Fangs. And so Kinato stands up and he says, I want to be kind and support a ton of people and become an adventurer who shines with true strength, and I've come to the Iron Fangs to make that happen. And Jien's like, all right, good. Here's a case for you. You guys are going out on a mission. There's a village south of here that's overrun with small monsters. The villagers can't go and gather food, so I'm counting on you, Kaminagi, to show this guy the ropes. And then he says, I'm going to leave Kinato's fate to your discretion, so if you decide he's got no talent, then we'll kick him out. So Kaminagi's like, okay, I take it. But they go off. Olgan expresses worry to Lene and saying, hey, is your friend going to be okay? And Lene just says, he'll be fine. When he's pushed to the brink, that's when Kinato shows his true strength. So we get on the road right away with Kinato and Kaminagi. They encounter a low-level monster, which is a slime, which starts off very cute and then grows terrifying mouths. Don't like that. Kaminagi reveals that she's got some sort of ice powers because she just rushes past them and frees them all in this huge block of ice. And she says that there's going to be an easy way for her to assist Kinato's abilities, which is slay more monsters than I do. So Kinato, of course, is blown away by this. More slimes come out to attack. Kinato uses his massage ball infused with Mana Thing and manages to burst it through them. It kind of ricochets around and blows a bunch of them up. And Kinato reintroduced himself to Kaminagi, saying, I'm the rookie adventurer Kinato. I use Seitai magic. Please teach me everything you know. And Kaminagi seems a bit taken aback by this. So it seems there might be hope for him after all.
Mm-hmm. All right, Nick. We have now read 3 chapters of Kinato's magic. How do you feel about this series? You want to keep reading it?
Oh, you know I do.
Yeah, I think this is about as close to a no-brainer. We both have loved this series. It got like chapter of the week from us. So, yeah, great stuff. Excited to read more. I do wish that the end of this chapter was a little bit more exciting, but I also understand that 3 chapters is our limit on it, and the manga has no reason to believe that it needs to do something very special for its 3rd chapter otherwise. So yeah, really good. Love the new characters. Love the beginning joke with Lene. Great stuff.
Yeah. Lene was really fun in this chapter.
Oh God, Professor, no.
Oh, why do you hurt her, Professor Peanuts? Don't you want someone else to be hurtsing? It's chapter 21, Master Eel Potato. It's the offline listener meeting that was referred to in the previous chapter. So that's all going to be happening. Mime is really looking forward to that. And again, we get the reiteration that, like, yeah, as long as they're like a listener and no one of the finalists, it's fine to go. Mime, however, is kind of nervous and says, I'm kind of afraid of funny people because they might think that I'm not funny, which is... I fully understand that feeling.
Having worked in an online content creation place for a while, it was very intimidating being with certain groups of people because you're like, oh, these are the really funny people.
Mm-hmm. These are the people who actually could make a living off of what they do. But Mizuo is just thinking about it and is like, I wonder what kind of food Nachi's gonna have. I wonder if she'll have breast plows and spring rods. It's like, what the fuck are those even supposed to be? But Mizuo also reassures me by saying, I don't even know who most of the people there are even gonna be. Because I know of Nachi, Shrimp Sushi, and Bat Chimney. Those are the only ones that were in the Koshien last time that I know of. But she tells me, hey, don't worry, I'm going to be with you. You'll be fine. I'll be your moral support and stuff. So that's going on. She's getting set to go off. And then all of a sudden, one of the teachers comes swooping in and says that she's got to take her math review session because, again, Mizuo's grades are very bad. She just gets dragged off going, I forgot I bombed my math test.
My bad.
So she's got to take a full 2-hour class while Mime goes ahead to the meetup. So he explains that to Nachi once he gets to her place. And yeah, there's a bunch of strangers and Shrimp Sushi there, one of whom is wearing a bag on their head. All right. I mean, it's not that unusual, I guess, because it's like, hey, this is kind of like, I want to maintain my online anonymity. Like, this is a thing that a lot of VTubers, for example, do when they want to make appearances, is that they'll do something to obscure their identity.
Sure.
The fact that it's a paper bag is a little bit weird, but
honestly, it makes me think of Faust from Guilty Gear, and that's something I treasure and I appreciate. So I enjoy the strange paper bag man. Also, remember when Cody Rhodes used to do that as his gimmick?
That was really good.
He did it to Kermit the Frog once. Like, come on.
Oh yeah, he did. The little tiny one for him. Yeah.
I only remembered this recently because I don't know what their name is, but as I scroll through TikTok shorts every so often, I get clips of these two guys talking about how Beaker interfered with Santino Morella's match and gave him like a
Yeah.
potion that he drank and spit in Jack Bagger's face. And it's every time I see the face of Santino Morella looking into the apron area and seeing Beaker from the Muppets. And like, how did he even get here? It's so good.
Oh man, that might be the highlight of Jack Swagger's career.
Whoa, hey! Remember he had a stupid hat in AEW for a little bit.
Oh yeah, that was the thing that he was over for. Oh man. Yeah, we get some brief introductions to a bunch of the people who are there. So there is a woman named who goes by Iron Man of cold Chinese noodles. There's a very stressed out guy who seemingly is like just looking for work constantly, who goes by Don't Pass Middle Infield. The guy in the paper bag is 8 guys in a 4.5 mat room. There is a researcher who goes by Chupetta Love. And there is looks to be an older woman who goes by Supertown Mayor. Actually, it's an older man, I guess, because his name is Ryusuke. So, but anyway, Mimei is indeed kind of intimidated by all these strangers around, and we learn that the people who are not there are, of course, Mizuo, who's in detention, Hateful Eight, who is one of the finalists, of course, who are one of the semifinalists, but who they are late, and Battle Chimney, who's just not there. Battle Chimney, of course, is the one that's like, won the Koshi and everything. So possibly keeping them a mystery for a while. So Mimei says to Nachi, all these people were in the Koshian except me. And Nachi's just like, oh, you're right. Oh, well. And so she starts to assure him, don't worry about it. And then everyone else is just like, man, it's all just people in the Koshian here, huh? So Mimei very quietly runs off into the bathroom, calls up Mizuo on the phone, and is like, what do I do?
I love that he calls her while she's taking a test.
And she answers find the way to ask help when the integer is me. It's she's math brained right now. She can only think in those terms. So yeah, she's just I don't know. Well, have you tried coughing? So she's like, well, what about the 2 people you do know? And Mizo's like, well, Ms. Nachi is indisposed, and Ms. Shrimp looks busy. Nachi's way of being indisposed is that she is, she's the host. So she's making sure that everyone's fed and having a good time and stuff. Shrimp Sushi is busy being happy, and Mimei doesn't want to interrupt that, which might be the most accurate form of just social anxiety I've ever seen. So Mizo is just say that you're Eel Potato's rival and that you're here to representing me. And he's like, I don't know if I should do that though. How can I just introduce myself that way to people? So instead, he introduces himself as Eel Potato's disciple, Owl in the Woods, which Nachi looks at him like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you doing that? But fortunately, the other people were like, oh, you're Owl Woods. I've heard some of your stuff because, yeah, he's had some of his stuff read on the air, and these people are all mega listeners to the show. So, of course, some of them recognize him. But they want to know, hey, where's Eel Potato and everything? Does that mean that they're a comedian if they have a disciple and stuff? And what do they look like? And oh man, Mimei's it was bad when I wasn't talking to anyone. It's worse when I'm talking to many people, though.
I feel bad for him, just the nervousness he's feeling in that moment where he's like, oh, I can't talk at all. And I'm like, oh, you poor child, you'll get there. But this is unfortunately a terrifying moment of trying to be social and be like, oh no, my brain's not working anymore. I don't know how to communicate actually.
We get to know a little bit more about some of the other people. Not a whole lot yet. Mimei does at least address the fact that it's hey, why do you look like, you're gonna put us in a death game to the guy in the paper bag. Um, he asks where Battle Chimney and Hateful Eight are, and Nachi just says, I don't know Battle Chimney's contact info. And Hateful Eight apparently is running late because like the train stopped and they got their wallet stolen, so they're with the police now. That sounds like excuses to me.
I can't wait to meet the most unlucky motherfucker that this guy is.
Shrimp Sushi is like, what's everyone's favorite episode? And so once that happens, Mime starts to flow because it's like, oh yeah, these are all nerds who watch the same show. Just talk about the show and everything will be fine.
Yep.
And he realizes in that moment, like, oh, I've been like having this shared experience with all these people the whole time. So then he starts to relax a little bit. But some people start to ask him about Mizuo again, and they're like, hey, you're really like straight-laced. Is that the way Eel Potato is? And Mime's like, oh no, what would Mizuo do in this point? And so she's like, oh yeah, well, Master Eel Potato can't sleep with their feet facing the food court, so they sleep standing up. What?
I don't even begin to know.
So Nachi is like, what are you doing, man? Shut up. So Mime is like, and then that moment Mizuo finally shows up. And she's like, look, I got a 71. Not bad. And Shrimp Sushi is there, recognizes Eel Potato, and everyone's like, holy shit, this tiny girl is Eel Potato. And then Mizuo, love her attitude, which is just like, hey, come on, disciple, introduce me. This is what I love from my comedy manga, Quinn, is horrible social awkwardness that makes me feel bad. Anyway, you want to go over a chicken beating up a cat?
Yeah, I guess so. I actually enjoyed this chapter of Someone Hurts a lot. I guess because this series is going to run for a while. Like it's very successful. So there's really not a ton of like places for them to go yet. I like that we're not revealing Hateful Eight and Battle Chimney. I like that we're keeping those kind of mysterious and like, hey, let's spend some time developing this cast of other characters because honestly, it'll probably be pretty interesting just to see them run into each other and have little side things. And like some of the characters are kind of funny. I like this middle-aged woman who's just like, yeah, I don't know. I came down here and my boss hates me. And the one guy who's just like, why is everyone like a child here? Why are you all babies? Like I thought I would have like contemporaries.
Don't you know that the show is on at 3 in the morning?
What are you doing? He is legit like, how are you all listening to it? It's on so late.
Okay, let's do Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi. Chapter 80, Mr. Tosaka, the Exorcist. Tosaka, after having his big flashback to remember about how his friend died and stuff, is squaring off against Neko, the former member of the bad guys, the demon lords. I can't remember what they were fucking called or whatever. So he gets Cook back in cannon mode, shoots a big old blast. We briefly cut over to where Kiyoshi is being looked after by Yamada and everybody else trying to heal him. Tosaka comes crashing through the wall at that point. He is trying to fight against Neko, but he's still outclassed. He warns everyone to get Kiyoshi out of there as Neko comes through the hole in the wall that he has made. Neko makes a grab for Kiyoshi. Tosaka gets in the way and tries to fend him off and says, like, look, everyone just get Kiyoshi and run. But he's unable to really do anything about that. He gets knocked down. Yamada's wife grabs Kiyoshi as Neko goes for her. She tosses him over to Mr. Yamada, who runs off while a bunch of their neighbors just like try and buy some time. Neko just walks through all of them. But Yamada is left basically just like bodily shielding Kiyoshi. And he says, I'm not going to let you have him. So Neko bares his claws and says, "The cat's about to have that disrespectful tongue of yours," and goes to attack, and Tosaka gets in the way. The claws go straight into his stomach, and he grabs onto Neko's arm and says, "Even if it kills me, I am not handing Kiyoshi over. This time, I'll save him." Cook, who has been knocked aside, looks up and realizes that Tosaka is, gonna die. And Tosaka shouts to him and says, "I'll stop this guy. You go and help Kiyoshi." And Neko's like, "I have 2 hands!" and uses his cane and stabs that through Tosaka's stomach as well. But Tosaka grabs onto the cane and says, "Hurry up and go." And he starts to repeat his friend's words to Cook and starts to say, "I leave the rest to you." And Cook has a bunch of flashbacks to all the times that they have spent together, and he lets out the most horrific cry of loss imaginable. Bakakado!
It is an emotional moment. Like, this series is like, I want to live, essentially.
It's kind of the face that he's making. There's a huge burst of energy. Bursts of smoke goes everywhere. When it clears, Cook has grown great wings of flame. And there are these like chains of like hearts coming off of his body. And Tosaka realizes that his wounds are being healed. He remembers something that his friend said a long time ago, which is Cook might or might not become a phoenix. He's a chicken with mysterious powers. And Tosaka realizes you really did become a phoenix. There is a funny little moment where Cook looks down at himself and is like, "What the fuck?" He wasn't expecting that.
People also brought up that this joke was done like during that introduction arc. They joked that Cook was a phoenix or something like that.
Yes.
So paying that off, yeah.
Tosaka is healed. Cook's got phoenix powers. And while that happened and stuff, Neko's arm got severed, and he realizes, my arm's not regenerating.
That seems bad.
That's no good. So he's like, "It's all right, though. I've got a secret weapon." And he gets down on his knees and goes, "Please!
Please, don't!"
I was just acting on Bobo's orders. Your friend's death wasn't on purpose."
I love, even as he's I'm so sorry for murdering your friend. You're like, dude, not the time. Like, if
I'm not really that bad.
If you have any control over this verbal tick, I would tone it down right now.
"Oh, please, sir, I have no kibble with you." I'm just gonna kill you for that one, actually. He goes, "Your friend's death wasn't on purpose." One of the demons in the background goes, "What?" And then Neko immediately goes, "Psych!"
Gotcha, bitch!
Not even like confirming that Tosaka has fallen for anything in any way.
Like, he didn't get closer. He didn't like catch it with his guard off or anything like that. He's just like has zero patience, which honestly makes sense for a cat. And it was like, "Gotcha, bitch!"
He summons his exploding balloons again all around Kiyoshi and Yamada, and he's like, "Once I kill Kiyoshi Harai, you flea bags are..." His arm gets cut off. Oh.
Now I'm really, really, really sorry. I really did not want to do this.
Tosaka says, "Too bad for you. I already learned my lesson about sneak attacks. Brace yourself." And he's got Cook in what looks like Obliterator mode, but with the Phoenix flames and everything around him. And it's Cook Phoenix mode as he says, "I'm gonna exorcise the hell out of you, Demon Lord Neko." He rushes in towards Neko, who says, "Like I never let meow self be exorcised by the likes of you." And it's like, I mean, do you have a plan or anything like that? He just kind of growls though, and then Yeah, he does get cut in half. He
It's very funny. I would never get cut in half by you. Oh, I do appear to have been cut in half by you.
Oh, dear.
You know what? Actually, as I thought about it a little bit more, when you very easily cut off my heads, I should have realized you had that ability.
So yeah, Neko is defeated. Cook comes out of Phoenix mode, and he and Tosaka fist bump, and that's the end of our chapter.
It's a good story. It's cute. We've known Tosaka for a little bit, so this hits a little bit more than some of the previous ones. I want to see Sosuke. Show me Sosuke. I am 100%. It is going to be that thing of like, anytime Sosuke's not on screen, the characters need to be asking what's Sosuke doing, and that's where I am right now.
Yeah, I absolutely get you. Like, if this fight beat for beat dramatically had been given to Shuten instead, we would be like, okay, come on. Like, I don't care about your friend, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I just met you and stuff. Because we have met Saka before. We know a little bit about him and his connection to the rest of the cast. It's like, okay, well, I'm happy for you at least, even if I wasn't super into this fight.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it seems like that's the next thing that we've got to do. Or at this point, it's like, come on. Like, Sosuke's the other one who's, like, actually fighting right now. Let's go.
All right, so there is a Marriagetoxin thing. It's a little look into Ushio. Cool, not a full chapter, so we'll talk about that next time, which means, Nick, it's time to talk about that good old new Exorcist.
Good and new Exorcist belong in the same sentence
Nick,
all the time.
How could it not be good? He says, I choose for a way to save us, stabs himself with a sword, and injects himself with healing antidotes, which is a thing he's already done before in this series. So, what are we doing here?
What you gotta do, Quinn, is chapter 133. Trust. Just trust the process.
Trust. If any series in Jump so far has told me I will be rewarded for trusting the process,
just wait.
It's this series. I cannot wait to see what the Vice Admiral is going to teach new Gakuro when they finally do that training.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, okay. So yeah, we see a little bit of, stuff happening inside of Gakuro's inner world thing. Like, he looks like he's like his body looks like that bit in the Digimon movie where they're traveling through the internet, like where they're going through the tunnels and stuff. That's what it looks like. And there's an eldritch being looking Soranaki who's there and is like going after the Yokokus and stuff, eating them as they try to eat him, and is just devouring all of them. Oh no, Gakuro is dying. His world is being dyed a pitch black. And then it all goes white as the image of Natsuki shows up and just like, yeah, I just healed him. I've got a contract with Gakuro, which means I can just pour a whole bunch of command energy into him to heal him. And also that's how I can see you in here, is that I've poured my command energy into him. So that's how I interact with you. And the Soranaki virus is like, well, what are all these things? And she's like, I healed the Yokakus you ate. Die. And Soranaki's like, this is bullshit. I fucking infected Gakuro Yajima. Why isn't he fucking changing into a monster? And Natsuki's like, he's resisting you, and I'm restoring him with my healing magic. I've kind of said this like 3 times now. And so finally Soranaki says, that's got to put a massive burden on you to be doing that. Like, if you just restore what I wrote, you're going to run out of energy. And Natsuki says, I've got more command energy than you. Like, all right. Yeah, it's just, yeah, don't you know? Gakuro's got a harem full of women who are all bullshit at this point. Come on. So, yeah, that all goes down. Soranaki's like, this is bullshit. I worked really hard to come up with this strategy. How can it possibly fizzle out without results? And Gakuro's fine. The erosion stopped. He gets up and looks at the Soranaki on the screen and says, you lose! And Soranaki says, damn you people! In that case, I'll just resurrect now! And so the camera on him zooms out to reveal that he is sitting on a throne with a bunch of cables all feeding into it. And he says, I'm on a power plant on this island. The Hyo can't use their own power to break their seals. It takes a vast amount of energy. After they're sealed, the Hyo doesn't have that much. and it's bound to run dry unless the Hyo is me. I'm able to convert electricity into command energy, which is why I ran out when I was fighting against Natsuki before, I guess. So I worked out a way which uses that power to break my own seal. So yeah, he runs on electricity, so he's going to use all the electricity on the island to power himself up. Okay, sure, it's consistent, sure.
Sure.
Preparations are in place. And Gakuro's like, well, hold on a second. You made a deal that you would heal Machida. Yeah, she's right over here. And then he flips off Gakuro and is like, come here if you want her, but I'm not going to tell you where she is. So that happens. Togetsu's like, haha. And then Gakuro looks at him and says, hey, Togetsu. And then we cut away to Machida being dead. Oh, she's been stabbed right where her boobs are. Oh, no.
That's the most deadly place to stab someone. So that makes sense.
It's up there.
Yeah.
So, the figure, one of Saranaki's goons or whatever, the masked woman, is so Saranaki's like, step 1, kill Reina Machida. Step 2, I use my advanced disguise techniques. I mean, you just looked like a guy in a hat before. I don't know about advanced disguise techniques. I use my advanced disguise techniques to disguise myself as her. And that was me like, why? Why?
I love that he's like, and I'll toy with Gakuro, then punch him in despair. And I'm like, there is no greater villain plan. There is no funnier villain plan than I will impersonate one of his love interests, and I'll just date him for a little bit, so I can get back at him. But I will date him for a little bit.
Soranaki, he is going to fuck you if you do that. Like that is what will happen. Like,
maybe he knows a little bit about Gakuro, and he knows that this boy does not have sex with anybody. He is too busy respecting all of their feelings.
It's just, you fool. Gakuro already doesn't have any self-respect. Like, what are you going to do to him at this point?
Honestly, if you showed up in a bikini, he'd probably just be like,
oh, no!
Yeah, I probably should incorporate you into my team.
So, the Soranaki on the screen says all of that, and then it turns out that the Machida who's been stabbed is Soranaki in disguise? No, it's another person in disguise. So he's gonna disguise, but also, or is that? No, that is Soranaki in disguise because they've got the same hair. Okay, so that's Soranaki in disguise talking about the other. Anyway, Machida's not dead after he was gonna say that he killed her and disguise himself as her. They were just like, anyway, now let's kill Machida. So Machida is not scared by this at all, even though she's in a cage and is being threatened with a sword, and herself gets stabbed, which would be kind of scary. Soranaki's like, show some fear, because he's got like a little camera, and he's like, I'm going to make Nue's group watch this later. You could have just recorded yourself as Machida being stabbed. So Machida's still not scared. She's like, Gakuro's going to save me. But she is trembling a little. Oh no. And Soranaki says, no, he's not. He doesn't know where we are. Abandon hope as Gakuro cuts his head off as he has arrived. And Soranaki has a brief moment to be surprised as his head goes flying through the air and then says, how did you get here? And Gakuro says, I could tell from the picture that you were underground. And Togetsu told us this was the only underground floor.
Yeah, just pretty easy, actually.
Yeah. And Gakuro says, the festival's over!
Like, wait, but there's still 4 festival bosses for us to deal with.
Didn't this year start before the festival, quote-unquote, arc was introduced? Like, it's only the end of February.
I'll be honest, it is the hardest thing to pinpoint where New Exorcist is at the beginning of the year, because I'm like, I don't know, like 7 things could have happened or none of them. Nothing rings any impact in this series, so.
Oh my god. This chapter's so stupid. I love it.
Yeah,
my
I,
God.
I kind of admire how nothing it is. We just repeat the same things. Gakuro gets another healing power after he already had one, but this time he has an unlimited healing battery alongside with him. So cool. Uh,
Yeah,
just
why not?
just silly stuff. Yeah, it's all nonsense, but you kind of gotta appreciate it to some degree, I guess.
All right, Quinn, story 194 of Akane-banashi. The audience. We have color pages at the beginning of this. Very nice, lovely pink aesthetic for Valentine's Day chapter. It looks like. Keeping on from last time, where Rokuro was giving a performance and Akane was trying to learn from his example. Shomei tells him that tells Akane what you should learn from him lies yet ahead. And as the performance continues, we have gotten to the point where Rokuro has started to get really creepy, and he has introduced the image of a skeleton unburied, and that draws everyone in. And Akane is like, yeah, so there was this like pleasing melody to his voice before, but now the crowd is gripped by tension. And Rokuro continues the story for talking about the body and the narrator's reaction to it, and says, I sent a prayer up for his soul, and I went home and lay my head down. In the middle of the night, I heard the distant bell of Benten Yama Asakusa. And then all of a sudden, he smacks his own storytelling panel out of the way. Like, you see the last panel with it like zoomed in on his face, and it's all, faded out and everything. And then the next panel is him striking that panel from the manga out of the way and saying, oh, this is too gloomy. Give me a break. I don't like these spooky stories. So I'll tell the story like this instead. But you have to forgive me, because even if I tell it, even the gloomy parts will come out sounding as cheery as a sunny day. And Shomei says that today's style for Rokuro is Coltrane. And it's influenced. Rather, this is calling back to his previous performance, which was influenced by Coltrane. And so this is a John Scofield day, which is he invokes the power of the phrase. And Rokuro starts doing this rhythmic chant really quickly and powerfully. And Akane is like, this is like a really melodically enhanced utai choshi, an upbeat style that stirs up feelings of elation and amps up the crowd. So the crowd is like applauding as he's doing this. And Shomei says the more enthusiastic that the audience becomes, the fierier his demeanor. And Akane is like, this is like a concert. And she realizes what Rokuro was saying before, which was, you sound like a recording. You don't sound like a live performance. And she's struck by that. And now starts to understand the deeper meaning of his advice to her, which was, you're trying to play all the instruments at once. Try delegating a little. If you do that, you can surpass your own realm. And Akane is seeing Rokuro and the audience like feeding off of each other, uplifting each other. And we get this big 2-page spread of Rokuro contrasted with, in the background, a guitar player. And Akane says to Shomei during the ovation that she thinks she understands. And she says, even if it means casting myself aside, the idea is to hone a story to perfection and deliver it in its ideal form. In other words, the secret art I learned during the Zuyun Prize, despite being the same craftsman style, is fundamentally different from this core that you're talking about. And that is why you were resistant to teaching me about it. And so Shomei says, like, okay, yeah, you get it now. Do you still want to do this? And Akane says, yeah, sorry, but I realize now this approach feels more like me. But we cut away at that point to a different performance, which is the end of Kaisei Arakawa's event. And we start that event just zoomed in on one person in the audience who looks completely hypnotized by the look on his face, and kind of comes out of it as, there is a voice over the PA telling everyone to be careful as they leave the theater.
That's how hypnotic his performance was.
Mm-hmm. Kaisei is told, like, hey, you knocked him dead. Like, that's really different from how you were during the Shinichi promotion test. But Kaisei says, I'm not there yet. I've only just grasped the trick, the core of the personal style. And plus, knowing whom I'm up against, I can't afford to overlook the slightest detail. And so it's like, okay, cool. Iken says, very diligent of you. And he thinks, like, most people would think that Kaisei have the advantage going into this. But given his opponent's propensity for growth, she can't be counted out. 2 young lions locked in a battle to the death. Who will triumph and whose flame will be snuffed out by the god of death? As we get this fight poster between Kaisei and Akane.
It's a very great way to set up this upcoming conflict. It's very engaging. Now, Nick, important question. How did you feel about the Rokuro stuff this chapter? And I guess his particular style of, like, depending on which jazz musician he listens to that day, his style shifts a little bit.
I do like the idea of having another character in the series besides Akane who is much more freeform in their approach to things. Because everyone else that we've seen really besides Akane is like, this is my specialty and I kind of stick to it. And Rokuro obviously has a very distinct, like, aesthetic and presentation, but I like the idea that you can't predict how he's going to approach things. It's not going to be like a twist on his specialty. It's going to be a very different thing each time. I don't know about this particular performance. I felt like I didn't quite fully understand it in a couple of ways, but I did appreciate that there was this very sudden jarring shift that happened that, the previous chapter sets up like, oh, it's going to be this, like, creepy thing that's going to, like, give you the idea of what the god of death is supposed to be like. And then it's like, no! She knocks it away instead.
Yeah. I enjoy this build-up. I'm not entirely sold on Rokuro. I think we're going to need to see when that finally comes to, like, a clash, but I am definitely very intrigued by this upcoming showdown between Kaisei and Akane. That's going to be really good.
Mm.
Speaking of really good, Nick, let us end with One Piece chapter 1174, the strongest thing in the world.
Love?
I believe that is the answer. Also, a Tyrannosaurus Rex is a pirate in this universe, and I think
maybe that's the strongest thing in the world.
Honestly, that's probably the real strongest thing in the world is a dinosaur pirate. So you could have both kindred benefits in Ixalan, which is a deep cut for the Magic the Gathering fans out there. We open the chapter with Summers being like, oh shit, the boat's gone, oh shit. Oops! Oh god, I lost the sea clouds. This is bad. This is really bad.
I'm gonna get such a talking to.
We gotta stop the arrow. The arrow's gotta go away. We gotta get rid of it. And then he sees that all the parents are like, no, we have to save our child. He's like, wait a minute. All these children are right here, unable to do anything because of the thorns, and forced to watch as their children plummet to their death. Maybe this is going to be worth it after all. Like, he's such a depraved little freak. He's just like, I know our whole plan's for shit now, but as a sadistic monster, I still get something out of it. Like, nothing has changed for him. He is now just like a full-on little freak, just like with his tongue hanging out, just laughing at what is happening. There is a moment of killing him, being like, what is Summers doing? Like, it took us forever to get those kids to the port. But at this point, anyone who's trying to stop the kids, like it's, Oino, I think is, or Oimo is trying to like stop one of the kids with the thorns, and he just can't. It barrels past him eventually. And he's like, I've done everything I can. And the kids start lamenting, and one of the kids even brings up, like, I think this is heaven punishing me for doing bad things.
Mm-hmm.
And they start thinking to themselves, I'm so sorry, help us, please. I promise I won't be bad anymore. And
it's all just like little kid things. Like,
yes.
Be disobeying their parents' wishes. Like, I don't want to do that.
I don't want to eat the
apologize.
carrots. Yeah, all that sort of stuff.
I hate you, Dad. I hate you.
And it reaches a point where Colin is about to walk straight off the ledge. He starts calling for his mom, and she shows up and she hugs him. And she's like, hey, baby, I wasn't able to stop you, but I'm not letting you die alone. And the two of them, like the kid continues to walk, and Ripley, holding on to the kid, goes down with him. They fall off the side. And this could not be funnier to Summers. He's having the time of his life right now. The next kid goes off, and their parent comes and grabs them and is like, hey, I'm coming with you, basically. You were so brave. The one kid who said his mom is the scariest thing in the world is apologizing for saying that. And she's like, sometimes mamas need to be scary to protect their kids. And it's so freaking cute. One kid doesn't have any parents, so she starts thinking of Miss Anji and how Miss Anji was like, I could be like a mother to you. And she's like, but you're not.
You're not my mom.
And then she shows up to hug this kid, and they go off the side. Roto's brother is like, I told my brother never to show up at school because he's so embarrassing. This must be my divine punishment for that. Roto shows up, grabs him. They go off the side.
All right, Roto, fine. You're kind of cool after all.
Fine, I'll mildly enjoy you now.
He calls his little brother ultra rare Bjorn, and now that quality is endearing now.
Oh, and it does it again. And the entire time Summers is just laughing. He's like, look at these scraps of garbage plummeting into hell. It makes my heart tremble. Stupid mothers, stupid fathers. I've got a stitch in my side from these poignantly pointless deaths. And then we cut, and the children and their parents have landed on something. They are alive. And Luffy explains, oh, it's the Gum Gum tummy cracker that he has used to kind of break all their falls. And then another voice says, hey, listen up, as it's clearly this large thing that they're riding on. Once we get up there.
The immigrant song.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Once you get up there, you need to get off my back at once. It'll prevent me from fighting. And Luffy's like, well, they just started falling out of nowhere. Good thing we were passing by. And he's like, it's not a good thing. I'm a destroyer. I won't guarantee that anyone survives. And up in the higher levels, lightning and snow start falling. And Chief Ja Rule continues the little legend from before about an exceedingly rare day where lightning and snow combine. A vast beast will blanket the sky with its presence, and with the sound of the drums of liberation, the sun god will appear, and we get a big 2-page spread of Loki and his terrifying devil fruit that turns him into some kind of shadow dragon, with Luffy and Gear 5 laughing alongside, I forget what his name is in this, but the Radagast analogy or analog, also, chirping along with them, as that's how we end the chapter. Loki is here, and his devil fruit is terrifying.
Yeah, he seems to be a Needhug, I guess, but I'm not sure. I'm sure there's other dragons in Norse mythology, but yeah, holy shit! Like, I am so fucking glad we got this chapter. We really needed something to kickstart the momentum after that long goddamn flashback. And I teared up both times I read this. I teared up when I read this. The first time I teared up while we were doing it just now. Like, just the very sincere emotion of, like, all these kids just remembering their worst moments. And, of course, all their parents giving up everything just to be with them. Not even to save them, just to be with
Yeah,
them.
I just won't let you die alone.
It's paced perfectly. There's like a nice little twist with every kid you see fall. Like the callback to the kid who said that about his mom, Angie being there for one girl, Roto being there for his brother. It's all so good. And then you get the big hero moment, and now I'm like, yeah, Loki.
Yes, this is exactly what they needed to do. Great moment. I love the emotion in it. Just a great chapter all around.
Yeah, incredible. Loved it.
I don't know why Professor Peanuts is going absolutely ballistic behind me, which I believe signals the end of the podcast. When the cat goes crazy, it's time to get out of here.
All right. Well, it's a good thing that Robbie's chilling for right now.
Where the hell is he?
All right. Guys, it's time for the favorite series of the week and MVPs. Quinn, do we just want to like go ahead and both say One Piece? Or...
it was weird because going into this, I was like, I think Blue Box was actually the best chapter this week. I really enjoyed that intimacy that they managed to have at the end. I loved Taiki's like big proclamation. And I was like, maybe it's actually stop it. Maybe it's actually Ichi the Witch, which is really, really cool. I love this evolution of like mastering the styles. Ichi has a really big moment. I also love the little detail of apologizing to Gokuraku before actually summoning the Joy of Sorrow. I was like, yeah. And then we read One Piece, and I was like, oh, wait, actually, it was this all along. I don't know why I thought of anything else. This chapter One Piece was incredible.
Yeah, sometimes you got to wait a long time because of the chapter releases being a bit slowed down now, and because of Oda's very long storytelling pace. One Piece is still one of the greatest manga ever, and this was definitely a really up chapter. Absolutely. My MVP is going to be Lene from Kinato's Magic because she was just so fucking funny.
On the same line, my MVP is going to be Kaminagi from Kinato's Magic because I really enjoyed her introduction. Her swooping up and grabbing Lene's hands and like professing to protect her princess was very, very amusing. But it's like a stealth way to also share it with Lene, who was really, really funny this chapter.
Yeah. Good stuff. What did the audience say?
The audience picked One Piece. They agreed with us as chapter of the week, and Cook got MVP, which makes a lot of sense. He did save everybody.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for this week, a weekly manga recap. We had to do things at a different time due to like scheduling conflicts and stuff. But hopefully we'll be back next Tuesday.
Yes.
So that will be just 4 days from now, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. So we'll see you guys then. We will be back here on twitch.tv/RoloT for the live recording. If you want to know when that's going to go on, you can follow us on social media. She is RoloT. I am Nick F. Time, and we are Weekly Manga Recap, all on BlueSky. You can also follow WMR Votes on BlueSky if you want to make your voice heard in what character and chapter you liked the most. Participate in the poll on that, and it will help decide the audience picks. We have a Discord, which is linked wherever the podcast is posted to. Click on that, and then you can join our community. Talk about chapters as they're posted, make recommendations for stuff. Use that to find the Google Doc maintained by Ninja X3i, which will have all sorts of fun information about the show and all the stuff that we've talked about over the years. We are available on YouTube, youtube.com/weekly manga recap, which has the video version, including the face cams and stuff, and also has an opening sequence by Bree Cheddar and Milo Jack Stillitz. And occasionally, we also have title cards done by,
Steve Mann.
Yes, Steve Mann Art. Look for him. I just had a little bit of a moment there.
It's all good. We're wrapping up. We're just about done here.
And we also have the audio version is up on weeklymangarecap.podbean.com. It's on podcast feeds like Spotify and iTunes. And we also have a Patreon, patreon.com/weeklymangarecap if you want bonus stuff and to help financially support the show.
Yep.
And that'll do it. Until next week, everybody.
Yeah. This is a slight amusing tangent to go off on. So part of the reason we had to move the podcast, I had a lot of schoolwork to do and, tough semester. It is amusing though, because I'm taking 5 courses this semester, and one of them is the arts and crafts, integrating arts and crafts into education, and it's tough to convince people, be like, it's a really tough semester, it's very challenging, when one of my tasks to do during class was literally to play with Play-Doh. It was actively a part of the assignment. Nick, I don't know if you can see that. I had to spell my name using Play-Doh. So I want you to know
you
that
underlined it and everything.
I go the extra mile. She didn't say to underline it, but you always go the extra mile. I am very bummed that class ends next week. It's a short one. I really hope my next class also lets me play with Play-Doh to like count for like class participation.
You just gotta like sell it by using like a lot of complicated terms, like, oh yeah, it's a tactile calligraphy class.
Ooh, that's a good one. They're like, okay, well this is like child psychology, so I don't know why you're doing that here. And I'm like, well, it's to stimulate ocular mentalities of just shut up and let me play with it. Like I really just let me do that. All right, goodbye everybody.